a happy Monday to everybody coming to this special start time of 8 o'clock p.m. We know our shows are usually on this same day at 9 p.m., but tonight is the NCAA men's basketball championship, and we want to adjust, for everyone who wants to watch the big game, watch the championship game. So we adjusted to an hour earlier to give you guys some time, at least 20 minutes to sit back and get ready for the game. But otherwise, the usual suspects. My name is Daniel Torres. Then we got Brandon, and we got John. Don't stop. Good news or bad news first? Which one do you guys want?
Up to you guys. I think we should start with good news, though.
Good news. Okay. I'll go first. If you guys haven't seen or keep up with my life in some sort of way, I started, and okay, but disclaimer before I say anything. This is not a career change. I'm still doing my career. This is just a hobby that I want to do for fun because I love this and I've always loved this other thing as a kid. And that's okay. You can love many different things, more than just one thing. But I started flight school today. Oddly enough, I will be flying on Thursday. Don't worry. I'm with a teacher. I'm not allowed to take off or land yet. I will be flying up in the sky at cruising altitude. But yes, I've always had a passion for planes since I was a little kid. I remember my dad used to take me when I was a kid to the Miami International Airport, and we just sit there and I'd watch airplanes for a couple hours just for fun. And I've always liked planes, and I always said that if I ever joined some sort of military branch, or if I had to, it would be the Air Force. But yeah, that's the good news. I've started pilot school, and my code name is going to be Maverick.
Hey, smart name.
All right, whoever's up next, shoot your shot.
Well, for me personally, I ended up going on a trip to Orlando to Epcot for the Food and Wine Festival.
Oh, nice.
Super nice food options they had this year. I mean, they even had like some place, I think in Germany, whatever, they had like this berry looking cream type of like croissant or something like that. I don't even know what it was, but it was amazing. But besides that, I also was able to get onto the Guardians of the Galaxy ride.
Oh, man.
I haven't been in Disney in a long time, but I do have to say, I haven't been on the Tron one yet, but the Guardians of the Galaxy right now, my favorite pick, all-time best Disney ride, in my personal opinion. That was amazing. I had like a really like good song with it throughout the entire ride.
Yeah, which song did you get?
Oh, I got Everyone Wants to Rule the World. I got that song.
No!
I couldn't believe either. When I heard it, I was like, no way. And it just kept on going around. I'm not going to spoil the ride for those who want to go to Epcot and experience it for themselves, but incredible storytelling, great, phenomenal ride, and definitely one that I think it's, if not number one, top 5 Disney all-time in my experience.
Hold up. Let me ask you, though. Is it a roller coaster?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't thinking about it, but it's a real roller coaster. Like, I was thinking it's going to be like one of those, like, 3D, like, put on your glasses type of things.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at all.
I gotta know, how intense is it? Like Space Mountain type of intense, or?
Yeah. Again, I'm not gonna go too much into spoilers, but it's a dark ride. It does have a lot of more twists and drops, but really great storytelling. And honestly, it's a fun coaster. It really is a fun coaster. It's not just like where you sit down and you watch a TV. It's a fun coaster. But yeah, definitely one of the best ones I've had in a while.
Before I go into mine, what you in the ride? What is it that exactly you're riding? Are you riding the Guardians of the Galaxy's ship, or are you riding another, or just like whatever ship that they just made out?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it's like because the card itself that they have, it's supposed to be another ship that you have following the Guardians.
Oh, okay, I see.
So it's not their ship, but you know what I mean. It looks like it's similar.
Yeah, I got you. Well, for me, we're doing good. So, I guess I got to see John Wick 4.
Okay.
Nice.
Bro, phenomenal. And I mean phenomenal movie. I get you, all of you should go watch it.
I'm still dying to see Creed 3, man.
Yeah, I haven't been to a theater in a while.
Yeah.
A long while.
What else? Aaron Judge, he had a great start to the season. First at bat, hits a home run. Perfect start. What else? I don't know. I'm gonna haircut tomorrow, so
All right, let's go to bad news. Man, I gotta think of what's bad news for me. If any of you guys want to go first, I gotta think about mine.
Yeah, for me personally, I would have to say, and again, I know we're gonna go into it, but the recent things around the NBA. But instead of what we're going to talk about today, I think the biggest bad news for me personally, it's just got to be the Milwaukee Bucks not giving the Celtics a good competition. I was hoping for like an all-time NBA game, all-time season-defining game. The Bucks, they're just not them. They didn't have it that day. I thought Drew Holiday was going to go off. I had a couple of people that do sports betting that I know of that was like, oh, yeah, Milwaukee, get plus everything. They were plus nothing in that game. So as a sports fan, that was kind of the worst thing I saw this week, where it's just like you're expecting fireworks to show off, and then instead you get, Luke Cornett and Payne Pritchard minutes for the Celtics, which again is good, but not something you want to see on prime time.
Don't talk bad about my main man Peyton Pritchard, man. That guy cooked the heat.
No, yeah, I'm not trying to say anything bad because I love Payne. I think he's an underrated point guard of that draft class he was in. But again, I'd rather see more Jaylen Brown minutes. That's what I'm saying.
Jaka?
It's gonna have to be the two games that happened on Saturday. The first one broke everybody's heart. I was at Hard Rock Casino when they hit that last shot at the buzzer. My heart dropped. I was like, bro, no way they just lost to a mid-range jumper, bro. An average mid-range jumper, bro. And then I know we're gonna get into it in a little bit, but my team, they didn't play up to their standards. So, but we made a hell of a run. We know both South Florida teams made a crazy run. Shout out to the Hurricanes and the Owls. But it's always next year.
Listen, before I correlate my bad news, I want to ask you guys. This relates to my bad news. I want to ask you guys. You're going out. So I was meeting my sister's boyfriend's family for the first time at a dinner. Right. Yes, I know. Yeah. It was actually up in your hood, Brandon. We were in Fort Lauderdale because they live in West Palm. So they said, let's meet halfway. So Fort Lauderdale it was. I don't know if I felt bad about it after, but there was important games going on. So I kind of had the TV on my phone on the table. It's not like I didn't discuss. I did have conversation, but I was attending to the game on the screen at the same time. So I guess my bad news was that I'm not saying it was a bad time. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying I didn't want to go. All I'm saying is, and repeat this, all I'm saying is they could have picked a better day. I would have liked to have been on my favorite, seat on my couch at home with the TV, some food, maybe some pizza, and watching the game comfortably. So my question would be, do you think it's rude or bad that I was watching the game on my phone with it at the table?
No, because the dinner had nothing to do with you. Think about that for a second.
That is true.
Like, it's the whole point was the parents to meet the parents and the daughter to meet the son. That's all it is. You're just a plus one. You're the guy that no one cares about that's there. You're just doing your own thing.
But And I gotta ask though, how big of a plate? Like, is it a fancy restaurant we're talking about? Is it like high class, or we're talking about like a cheesesteak family dinner type of thing, where it's like one in a million days?
I mean, I wouldn't say it was like a extremely fancy restaurant. I mean, it was a nice restaurant. It was on the water. I would say it was nice. It was a good restaurant, but it wouldn't say it's like a super fancy restaurant.
Well, I mean, you said on the water. Again, I kind of a hypocrite because I do it myself all the time, especially when the Celtics are playing. But man, I just gotta tell you, man. I mean, probably near the midway and through the half of that game, I'm pretty sure you put that phone down. So,
Well, you see, there was that game, the FAU game before. Inter Miami was playing at the same time.
that's a 3-way. You had to have your phone on there.
Exactly. This is what I'm telling you.
If it's like multiple games like that, then you got to. But if it's like, let's say, a mundane game where like the game's already done, you know what I mean? But if it's 3 games like that, come on now.
Well, here it gets even worse, right? So again, disclaimer: I'm not saying I had a bad time or that I didn't want to go. I had a good time. I conversed. I had conversation. But like, when you first meet somebody, you likely feel more comfortable if you sit with people that you already know, and then you get to meet those other people, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up with the way that everyone arranged themselves and sat down. I ended up on the other side of the table. So I'm like, oh, you guys are so far away. And I literally had my phone out, like placed on the table. There was no shame. This is what I'm going to say. There was no shame. I said, hey, I got to know these things. It's part of the job. I kind of got to watch. You guys should have picked like a Sunday or a Saturday or something. So, yeah, I would say it was my bad news. Again, disclaimer for the third time. I'm just saying, people are going to hear this or be like, oh, you're saying that you didn't want to. Disclaimer, third time. Not that I didn't want to go, but it would have been nice to have been home. That's all I got to say about that.
All right.
Okay.
It's fair enough. You think it's fair enough? It's fair enough.
I guess.
I'm going to leave it.
All right. Now, going away from the family matters. March Madness. Oh, I got to say it. Oh, I want to say it, Janka. I want to say it. I want to say I told you so. I told you. I said it. Not going to win. They're not going to win at all. They're not going to win at all. UConn, it was not even a game from the get-go. UConn just really poor. There was a moment in the towards the end that I started believing. I was like, wow, they can actually pull this comeback. But then UConn said, nope, we're not everybody else, and imposed their will and started going away with it again. Oh man, and I gotta say that famous phrase they always say in Coral Gables, oh, it's great to be a Miami Hurricane. Oh man, did I have a blast. I felt bad for FAU. It was 1-point game that they lost by. I really wanted to see them in the final. I really did. But UM, oh my God, I had a ball. I had a blast. I loved every second of it.
Near you, Brendan.
I mean, this is all you, man. This is your team. This is your team. All right, I know you. And before you go, I do want to say though, I think one of the things is that UConn, one of the best programs in men's basketball, let alone in recent history. I mean, it's just hard to even go against this team. Even for today, I'm pretty sure we're going to go on our picks later on today. But, man, Adama Sanogo, 21 points, 10 rebounds, double-double. And he's looked like he's been doing that throughout the entire tournament. I mean, this UConn team just can't be stopped. I think the Hurricanes, phenomenal season. But they just got into a powerhouse team where it's like, man, they're proven blue bloods. And I mean blue bloods of the game of basketball. But John could go ahead with UM, though. I mean, I got more to talk about.
Again, I watched this game from the first tip to the last like, I don't know, blood spilled. But I'm gonna have to say this. I put most of the blame on the loss. If you guys didn't follow my Twitter, I put the blame on Isaiah Wong. He was I call it as I see it. I think Daniel and Brandon know. Even though the U is my team, if we play shit, then guess what? I'm gonna call on your shit.
Okay, fair enough.
Isaiah Wong, yes, he had like 15 points in the game, but he was completely inconsistent. Turnovers, bad possessions. He would force the ball, hold on to the ball, try to play ISO, trying to become like this next James Harden thing. I don't know what he was doing. And then I go on to I think there's like 3-4 minutes left in the game, and CBS puts on a little like icon over Miami at the bottom of on top of the scoreboard, and it said Miami has missed 14 layups tonight, and I'm like, that was with 3 to 4 minutes left. It could have been way more after the game, and so I'm just like, damn. So let's just use the 14 for a second. That's 14 2-pointers. That's 28 points. If Miami would have just made half of those, the game would have been either tied or by 1. So I blame us on Isaiah Wong for not being a leader. I don't know what was his name? Jordan Miller. Even though he had a crazy game the game before with Texas, I think he was forcing up too many shots. Miami was just missing way too many open shots. It was just the most ridiculous thing in the world. But yet, no matter what, it was just like run, and then it was a whistle. Run, whistle, run, whistle. We couldn't get a consistent basket.
Yeah, I agree. They really did miss very easy shots.
Bro, I was just like, bro, it's right there. Like, and then Nigel Pack, he's supposed to be taking shots. He made a couple threes here and there, but like everybody was just missing shots. You could just tell, like after, like man, I was like, second half we saw what they did against Texas. There's still a chance, but like after I saw them just continue to miss open shots, I'm like, nah, this is no way. I even said it on our group chat, it's like, yeah, this is over. Bye bye, guys.
Listen,
no, it was tough though. Because before he's going anywhere, Daniel, I do have to say, I don't want to bash this UM team, but Nigel Pack, 31, 35 minutes. He's played just about every single game. We had a consistent three-point shooting out of him. It's like we saw Kyle Lowry in this game out of Pack. We're talking about 3 and 10 from the floor, 2 and 4 from 3. And again, as you mentioned, open threes, majority of them for Pack. I don't really understand this team. Again, as I mentioned before, UConn, great team, great defensive team, and mind you of that. They have long size and they have really fast guys at forward. But UM offensively, there's no excuse to really, put up not a goose egg, but let me just look up the stats just one more time for the first half.
I didn't mind them missing the threes as much because they did that last game and they were still able to win. But last game, the difference with this game is that they made their layups. They made the easy shots. Yeah. Those easy shots could have easily dwindled the lead down to 4 or something and completely changed the outcome of the game.
Yeah. But I think one of the biggest thing I was going to mention, though, is just the first half killed them. 24 points alone in the first half, and you allow 37 against a UConn team that does not look to be, slowing down anytime soon. So,
of course.
Honestly, as you said before, Jonka, that game was dead in the water midway, and honestly, it's just the poor shooting performance in the first half that really killed it and then spelled it in the second half.
I think they didn't play. I think also you can tell just from the start, like the first 5 minutes, they were playing the same amount of defense that they did against Texas at the beginning. They weren't guarding the 3. They were just continuing to do the same thing with the inside game, like in Texas. They could have done it. They had 14 missed layups. They had the chances, but they were just whiffing. If they would have just made half of those, they would have taken the lead or now. We don't know. We don't know. They just didn't make their shots. It's not like UConn did anything like against us that was surprising or anything. We just missed those layups. It was the layups, period.
Listen, what really bothered me about March Madness, and this is switching to the women's side, this pissed me off this morning.
Oh, okay.
We really have no headlines in the world or in the world of sports to talk about than to be upset at I know Caitlin Clark. I forgot the other young lady's name. I know who I'm talking about, but we really have to make this a headline, to be upset to even discuss this. Did she talk trash back and did the John Cena wave? Yes, her. That she really did the "you can't see me." We're really gonna be upset about that? Really? Like, hello, we love it. We love the entertainment when the men do it. It's trash talk. Like, it's a part of sports. But we're really gonna make a big deal about it because the woman did it? Like, what's the big deal? Like, it's not a big deal. Why are we making this a big deal? Why is everyone all over the sports world talking about this and making this a headline? It's really not that big of a deal. And I didn't really see it as a sign of disrespect. Obviously, in sports, there's a line that you cannot cross when it comes to taunting and whatnot. But, like, come on. Like, it was just this. Like, what's the big deal? I found it ridiculous that we had to talk about this or make this a headline.
No, yeah. I mean, but I think one of the biggest things, especially from the Final Four for the women's side of things, I mean, Caitlin Clark, her defense against South Carolina was so disrespectful. And again, as somebody that's, right now covering SEC sports, has been in the SEC for a while, I love the fact that the SEC's always got its own back. Somehow, some way, South Carolina got disrespected by Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes, and then LSU comes in. They talk about it in the pressers before the game even starts, and they talk about it after, even on the championship podium with Holly of ESPN. So I just love, honestly, I love the fact that like LSU dominated that game. The most points scored ever in a championship Final Fours for women's basketball in NCAA Division I. And it comes from an SEC team, not Florida, but LSU, and honestly, probably the best group of girls that I've seen in women's basketball in the sense of the SEC. I think LSU, that's their first championship ever for their program for women's basketball.
Yep.
So good for them. And honestly, as you mentioned before, the headlines of disrespect and all that stuff, I mean, Clark started it with the defense that she showed on the court against South Carolina, a team that is, again, one of the best in recent years, one of the best programs in women's basketball. And she disrespected the program and, of course, of the Gamecocks. So glad to see an SEC bring that type of disrespect towards Clark and the Hawkeyes of Iowa.
Was that the play that she was at the top of the key and the girl was just like, whatever, yeah, just go.
Yeah.
Exactly
I found it actually kind of funny because she didn't even take the shot. She just passed it. And so it's like, damn, you got called out and you didn't shoot it?
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
Well, right then and there. If after I saw that, I would have shot it.
So who do we have tonight, guys? UConn or San Diego State? I personally rocking with UConn. Molly Curum, I believe she went to UConn. I'm rocking with her tonight. UConn win the national championship.
Yeah, I mean, I got the Huskies. I was able to see them in person myself this year, and it looks like they've been in the exact same form they've been since early November. They've just been dominant. And I'm expecting that the same way against Kawhi Leonard's alma mater. Hopefully Kawhi Leonard goes to, the game. I want to see Kawhi Leonard on the sidelines, at least at San Diego and
I doubt it.
State. I know, but I'm just saying. Love to see it. Either way, he'll probably win us a loss. I got UConn.
Jonathan?
For me, I would love to see San Diego State pull it off. But it's just UConn, bro. They're just too big. They're too good right now. But not head UConn, heart San Diego State.
I guess it's just one of those things, man. Mind over matter. So the new NBA collective bargaining agreement written in that new CBA is that there is an in-season tournament. Why do I don't even like the play-in tournament for the playoffs. Why are we trying to do an in-season tournament? This is just going to add more games to a regular season. I know every time you step on the court, you could get injured, but you're adding more fatigue to people's bodies just for a random in-season tournament. I personally don't agree with it. I think it's stupid. I don't want to. I personally don't know how you guys feel, but I personally don't want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, me neither. From just only not even a fan's perspective, but also you got to think about from the players themselves. Whenever you talk to an NBA player, they're thinking of either their career or the accolades of their career leading to a championship, right? That's the main goal for a championship. You have a meaningless tournament in the middle of everything where it's not even going to, from what our understanding is, prize money, yes. However, it's not going to affect the postseason. It's not going to affect a team's potential of moving up in the standings because it'll just be like a March Madness type of thing where it's like a one and done type of situation. So it's not even going to go into the regular season rankings nor postseason. It has no purpose at all. The play-in tournament itself, it made sense and it still does. You got teams that are in a close battle, like for example, Western Conference, where literally the 13th seed can jump all the way to the 6th seed within about a week. Yeah. All right. The play-in tournament, very even teams go against each other who really deserves that final spot. This tournament that the NBA and Adam Silver is trying to, put down as soon as next season, it doesn't have a purpose nor a place in the NBA today, let alone the timeline that they're going to be doing it. Next season, I said the earliest, but November, December. The NBA just starts like about a month or and a half, and you want to go into a whole different tournament before the All-Star break? For no reason? What are you doing? What are you doing? You can't be playing playoff basketball in the fall for the NBA. You just can't be doing that. And I think also another cool thing about it, this is actually away from this, but also part of the talks was the MVP and as well as all team NBA votes and just in general, the candidacy for it. You will have to be able to play at least 63 to 65 games.
I am for that. I am for that.
Yes, I'm heavily for that. I think, and again, I do hate to say it because I do understand great players play a lot of minutes and they do get hurt for a long time. However, if you're going to try to tell me a player that's played through 75 games or more through a phenomenal season, it's going to be able to find himself on the third team All-NBA, but not first just because somebody who has been playing for at least 30 games or so, has been out for the entire year, but had a good 2 weeks, is going to get you that first team All-NBA and potentially an MVP, makes no sense. So at least the talks with Adam Silver as well as the players, they ended up doing some good. However, this in regular season tournament, kind of stupid.
You got to show up. You got to show up to work, man. Like literally, I was watching, I believe it was First Take this morning, and they were talking about, players just randomly decide when they want to play, when they don't want to play for random, no reasons. They were talking about that Joel Embiid ducked playing Jokic just because I don't know what the reason was, but people were like, man, like that's what the fans wanted to see, and like Embiid didn't want that smoke from Jokic. So he ducked him and didn't play that game, and next game comes around and he's back on the court, no tomorrow, like no injury, nothing. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. Jonathan?
If you guys don't know my position, I absolutely hate any idea of a tournament. I hate the play-in tournament as it is now. I think it should be the top 8.
That's it, bro. If you didn't make it, you didn't make it. That's the point of the playoffs.
Yeah. Though I feel like this is me. Call me out if you want to. I don't care. Tweet at me, whatever you want. The play-in tournament was made for LeBron James not to be excluded from the playoffs. I swear to God, that is the reason, bro. From the moment he gave to the Lakers, all of a sudden the Lakers are trash. Let's make a play-in tournament and extend it to 10 teams for a chance to make the playoffs. Oh, coincidence. Okay, yeah. But aside from that, now what I find with the problem with, I do agree with both of you that players should play every game. I feel like they should play every game. But setting a limit now, let's say the minimum was 65, you guys said, right?
Yeah.
65. There's 82 games. So whatever the difference is, I think that's 17 games. Now the players are just going to be like, oh, since the minimum is 65, now we can take 17 games off. And it's legal. So it's like, it should just be minimum 65, but you have to play the games that make the most money, the most revenue. Like, if it's LeBron versus, I don't know,
KD
or something, and it's the end of the season, and it's the last game of the season, and they're trying to get ready for the playoffs, but it's the last game of the season, bro. They should be playing. People pay to see KD and LeBron play against each other. Oh no, but what they're saying, oh, they've already played the 65 games. They're already eligible for all these other things.
Yeah.
So I think they should keep the 65, but enforce certain games that they must play that will create revenue for them, because it is a business at the end of the day.
How about if you don't play? Granted, if it's an injury or personal reason, that's fine. But if you don't play just because, you don't get paid.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, also, I think Anthony Edwards probably put it best, current forward for the Minnesota Timberwolves, that, these people saving all this money, this might be the only time all year they can even go to an actual game for the NBA. So why would they not play for them who are, going out to see them? But from Jockey, I mean, your point, I mean, you never know. Maybe in the future, contract-wise, there might be negotiations where it's like, hey, we'll give you on a 4-year contract. We understand health and everything like that. However, you will have to play the games that are going against top 3 in the Eastern Conference, top 3 in the whatever Western Conference. Maybe there's something in the future. What I would say, though, I think the timeline is actually very nice because the last 15 games, half the league is already in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. The other half is trying to fight for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, for example, the 76ers right now, who I think honestly peaked in the middle of March, and they're kind of on a downward spiral. I think James Harden's kind of dealing with stuff, and Embiid's always going to be dealing with stuff while he's still battling through that MVP race with Jokic. Guys like that, they don't really need to be fighting for, a couple of regular season games. They're already locked in for the 3rd seed, in my opinion. I don't think there's a way that the Cavs can win out. I don't think there's a way that the Celtics or Bucks are going to lose out. So a team like, let's say, the 76ers, they can benefit from, the last 15 games being the last 15 games of get your team ready to go for that first round of the playoffs. So, reasonable basketball that really defines the season. So I do understand the argument of playing every single game, but the timeline they made with the NBA, it makes the most sense because NBA basketball, you don't really know what's going on until you hit March. And the moment you hit March, that's when the picture opens up. Last 15 games, that's when teams realize, hey, Kawhi Leonard, I understand you got a broken knee or anything like that, but we need you. Or, hey, Kawhi, rest up. We'll see you in the beginning of May. So that's what I kind of think of it. But again, I do agree with both of you guys. If you're eligible to play, you got to be on the court. You got to be on the court.
The one thing about the if you don't play, you don't get paid. That I agree. I think that will only work for the players that aren't making like max salaries or something like that. Because if it's like a superstar, whoever the superstar is, they missed one game. Do you think they care about that one game? They're getting endorsements from other companies. Like, yeah, I can miss one check. But like, if it's like, I don't know, Austin Reeves, he can't afford to lose a check. So yeah, maybe that will work for a little like a smaller star player. But for if it's a big player, it's like, okay, you can take my check, whatever.
There has to be some other solution. Like Brandon, if you just don't show up to work, like what would happen to you?
No, I mean obviously, you get called up by the boss, let him know.
There
like,
you go.
Hey,
there you go.
And then he lets you go. He lets you go. But again, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, in the sense of the timeline, an NBA franchise, they might look at their all-star and be like, I don't really want to play you against Detroit in the middle of April.
Yes, this is true. This is also a valid reason.
So again, I mean, there's a lot of arguments both ways, and I definitely find good points on both of them. The only thing I would say though, for me, guarantee what I do love about this entire deal, the 65 games, that's a good medium in the middle.
I think they should raise it to at least 70. I think it should be 70. Because I think I'm losing now with they're going to lower it even more if the players start to complain, and then it's like now I'm losing respect for the NBA in total and all the players that want to make it less because this is what the old players from the 80s and the 90s are saying that these guys are soft, bro. You guys can't play 82 games. We did it back to back to back. MJ did it, but then LeBron's here taking days off. This is the reason why I can't make the argument for LeBron James, bro. This is the exact reason. He wants to take days off. This is the exact reason. I think MJ played all 82 games 9 times. LeBron has never done it. LeBron has never played every game.
That is true. I don't know. I just find it really weird that somehow we're talking now about LeBron's legacy now from talking tournament, but
clickbait.
Hey, but you know, it all has a connection. It all has a connection.
It all falls into the same thing.
Yeah, but you know, again, I mean, you know, the NBA is only 76 years old. You know, it's not the newest games, but it's one of the more newer games compared to major sports around the world. And honestly, in the past 5, really this decade, we've seen the most changes to the league, I think, in my honest opinion. So who knows? This whole thing might even change in the next 3 years, to be honest with you. So it might even be up to 70.
Talking about global games, let's talk about on the soccer side of things. You guys were so excited. So excited. And I can't tell you, I cannot say that I did not tell you guys. Inter Miami starts off the season, 2 beautiful wins, and now they're crashing and burning with 4 straight losses. I'm hearing rumors that if this losing streak continues, that Phil Neville is going to be canned. You can tell on the press conferences that it's starting to get to him. You can tell on the press conferences that he's losing his lack of composure, that it's bothering him a bit. And in the press conferences, you can tell he's just making major excuses now. In that last loss, not from this weekend, but the one against the Chicago Fire, the Chicago Fire head coach pointed out the reason why they scored their goals was because of a lack of defensive effort. And he got very insulted by that and said, end quote, "This is bullshit." This is what Phil Neville said. But a lot of the media said, hey, like Phil Neville said that was BS, but the Chicago coach was right. Like they scored those 2 goals, the first and the game winner, because of a lack of defensive effort. I personally, look, nothing against the guy. I think he's a nice guy. But you need a strong coach. We're not here to have, obviously you guys know my past, my history, having worked within the club and within the organization, having been able to be around Phil a lot. It's one of those things where like you finish in like when you're a kid, right? And you're playing like Little League soccer and you just got absolutely destroyed and you're in like 10th place of the league, but you still get a participation medal. Like that's how I feel like Phil Neville coaches. Like Inter Miami can lose 5-0 and he'll get up there on the podium and be like, oh, I feel like the boys showed so much courage and fight. I'm like, you just got hammered 5-0. What the hell are you talking about? Courage and fight. Yeah, fans don't want to hear that. And they want to see fire. They want to see you upset that you got killed 5-0. And it's becoming to a point where the fan base is getting upset. And I think a lot of fan base now is like, hey, Phil, you got to go. And, Brandon, we discussed this the other day when they lost to Chicago. At that moment, not anymore, but at that moment, Chicago was the worst team in the league until they got that win. And they were missing key players due to injury. Now they play FC Dallas this Saturday, who's not a bad team either. And you think, now this could be extended to 5 games, perhaps. Leonardo Campana's been out since the beginning of the season, and we have no clarity on that. The club refuses to say, hey, what's going on with him? What's the extent of his injury? How serious is it? They refuse to tell the media or the public what's going on with him. Nothing on Robbie Robinson. He hasn't played since the beginning of the season either. So Gregory's out for the rest of the season with his injury. And it's something to a point that Jonko always says, like, dude, how is it every year Inter Miami enters preseason and like everyone's all hurt already. Like, how does that happen? What's that logic? Like, how does that work? It's extremely frustrating to be a South Florida soccer fan right now. For this club since the beginning of 2020, it's been another nightmare.
Yeah, and I also, because I think one of the biggest things, as you mentioned before, it's Phil Neville, what he's able to coach through the team. And I understand Inter Miami has been through a couple of tough losses recently in the past 2 games, that 3-2 loss against Chicago, and then, of course, the 1-0 against Cincinnati. But, I mean, Inter Miami started with a top-notch guy, head coach, manager, whatever the name you want to put down for the guy at top of the helm. But
Diego Alonso,
right now, I think he's still the Uruguay coach internationally.
Yep.
I mean,
I liked him.
I loved him, and he still has a good resume for himself, and he continues to build his resume while Phil Neville is kind of sinking below ground right now. And I don't think it's able to be saved. The first 2 games, there was a lot of things that I saw where it's like it's a new fight to Miami. The defense actually looks like it's attacking, moving forward, pressing onto the ball. The past few games hasn't looked like that at all. I understand this all started with the Philadelphia Union loss, where Inter was going into battlegrounds with this whole new kind of mindset, and they got tested and they failed. They absolutely failed, and Phil Neville's failed to bind that. Now, would they be able to sack him in the middle of the season, especially this early in the season? I'm not too positive, but I would definitely not leave that out of the question. I wouldn't leave it out. You never know, because David Beckham, I understand the ties there, but the franchise, it needs to grow. This is, as I mentioned before in previous podcasts, the post-Higuain days. What does Inter Miami do? Do they elevate with the current roster they have right now, try to build off of this without having a star, or as Inter Miami kind of started, without having older players with huge names? Or do they just kind of plummet, and then you have to figure out from the academy?
Listen, Jonka, before you go,
listen,
I know this is your boy, Brandon, but what really hurt this team was, one, they lost 2 guys. The reason why they made the playoffs last year, Higuain and Pozuelo, they both had a good connection. It worked. It got Higuain the ball, and he scored those goals. It's the reason why they made the playoffs. They lost Higuain because of retirement. Okay, that's fine. But because the loan of Pizarro, and they couldn't get rid of him because no one wanted him, they had to cut Pozuelo, and that one really hurt. And look, Phil, again, he's a good guy. He's a good person, but he's living in the shadow of his brother, Gary Neville, who's always been the better brother. And obviously you can see when Phil was coaching the England women's national team, as soon as Phil left the England women national team, you can see how much better the English women have gotten without Phil as soon as he left. So I just want to put that out there.
Okay. Now, Daniel said something before that I remember is like, how is it that they start every season with injuries? And it's a mystery, right? Would you all agree? It's a mystery?
Absolutely.
Now, think of this. There's a box. Think outside the box for a second. I think they're not injured. I think they're sitting out because they don't like Phil. I think they're tired of Phil, and they're sitting out to wait until Phil kicks the can. They kick him out. They're bringing in a new coach, and watch how they bring because it doesn't make sense. You can't add up how you're good all summer. You're not injured. Everything is fine. Then the moment 2 weeks before the season starts, you're injured. No, I'm sorry.
So you're saying there's a conspiracy theory right now behind Inter Miami lines?
This injury theory does not add up at all. It doesn't add up at all. And plus, this team has gone downhill ever since they played New York City FC after that own goal by, I forgot who it was. I think McVay, I think it was.
Yes, it was. It was.
Yeah. After that own goal, they've gone to I'm not gonna say, but to crap. Mm-hmm. Phil Neville needs to go. Bring in a new coach in. Maybe one. He doesn't have to be big or anything, but just a new face in the new locker room. Get the locker room sorted out. Go have a team dinner. Let everybody fix the team a little bit. And then I was telling Daniel this last week. If let's say it is true, you have all these players that are injured at striker or midfielder. I told Daniel, Isco from the Spain team has not found the team since December of 2022. Isco is a good player. Pick him up. If bring him in, try him out. If he doesn't work out, okay, that's fine. At least you tried something. But Isco is a good player. Put him in the lineup. See what happens.
Right.
Like they don't try to find these players, bro. If you can't find a player, okay, bring one in from the youth group. Find somebody from Brazil. I don't know, somebody. They don't try anything. This team was a laughing stock.
Joseph Martinez.
They're purposely showing everyone that they're not trying. They're not hiding it.
Listen, Joseph Martinez, who they brought in from Atlanta United. Look, I respect the guy. He had a hell of years in Atlanta United, league MVP, won the league. But after he had his injury, and it was evident last year in Atlanta, he has not been the same player. And I think we've seen that on the field here. He has not really produced anything or done anything special. And I think the main motive why he even is here or came to Miami is, and he mentioned in the press conference when he was introduced, he's Venezuelan. What community do you know in Miami has a large Venezuelan presence? Tell me. I want you guys to say the answer.
Venezuelan.
Brandon knows the answer. He knows. Brandon, tell me, what's the answer? John, you should know this, bro.
I'm thinking Weston.
Miami FC?
Doral,
yeah.
Oh,
I thought you meant team.
No, community. Doral, right. The guy literally said his girlfriend and his family live in Doral, and that made him more motivated to come here. He came here for Doral, man. Granted, he wants to be with his family. That's okay. But he has not done anything on the field. That's just honest fact. I think he's past his days. I mean, he can still, do stuff, but again, in the midfield, no one really providing to him. Again, if they had Pozuelo, I think it would have been nice. It would have helped a lot, but it hasn't really produced on the field, man. And that's just where they're at.
I think this team has lost their spirit. I think legit they have lost their spirit. Until they can get their spirit back, the team is not going to have any chemistry. The communication is not going to be there. There's going to be less. I don't know how they started off so hot, and then they beat Philadelphia. Crazy game. We were there, me and you, Daniel. But I don't know what's gone into them. But they need to fix Suena la Campana because Campana, I don't know where he's at.
No, yeah. Yeah, I need Campana back. I need Robinson back. I need all those guys back. And again,
if they bring all those people back, right? Let's say everyone is finally healthy. Supposedly. If everybody's supposedly healthy and they continue to lose, Phil Neville should never have a coaching job ever again. I mean, he should be fired now, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean,
but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, though, is this is the start of the season, and I understand, there's some hiccups here and there, but in the MLS, it's like a 1 game per week type of situation.
Yep, it is. Every game counts. Every week.
4 games straight, it's not looking good at all. That's a whole month of losing. That's a whole month of stress over a franchise, and especially over Phil Neville's head. So I can only imagine what it does for the guys. As John had said, maybe there might be some conspiracy, and maybe it might just be true that guys are just, wanting to sit out of the game. It's nothing crazy because we've seen it happen before in different leagues throughout sports. So either that be Phil Neville or just the play on the field. From the first 2 games, I really do believe it is Phil Neville. I really do believe that it's more or less just, the approach they take game plan wise in these past 4 games, especially the last 2 games, where it's heartbreaking losses, but it's not enough fight. I mean, the 92nd minute goal against Chicago, that was stupid. The fact that we even gave up that was stupid. That should have been easy, at least a point that day. So definitely, who knows exactly what happens. Too early to tell, especially this part of the season. But Inter Miamis have had much better coaches, and there's only been 2 coaches in franchise history. So,
look, a final comment is I feel like he should have been gone before. Is his relationship with David Beckham as their close friends. But this is business. You cannot allow your friendship to keep hurting the franchise. It's business. And I'll leave it at that. But guys, you know when inventions first happen and they make life so much easier. Like when people used to do laundry and it used to take them days. Now it only takes them, a little bit of time. Those sort of inventions. When the train first was invented, it used to take you across America in just 3 days. The MLB pitch clock. You guys can watch an MLB game for just 2 hours now. I had a final score from the Marlins before 9 p.m. That was an absolute miracle. Like, it's unbelievable what this pitch clock does. It's amazing. You can now watch baseball.
Yeah, I mean, not even that. It's also guys are just. I mean, they're using the clock for their advantage. I mean, I forgot the Mets pitcher that's using it like crazy right now. I know he was there on opening day against the Marlins against Sandy, but
Scherzer.
Scherzer, there's a name. Yeah, I was thinking of another one. But yeah, Scherzer uses it to an advantage, especially during the spring training games where it's like he waits the last second to throw the pitch. And it's like, man, the guys are using it for their advantage. It makes the game more fun. It puts a new strategy to an old game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mind-blowing, honestly. I think it's definitely has changed this game to be much better. And it doesn't like feel like it's honestly like broke the game away from what it is.
This game I love it. I think it's making the game way faster because before they would slow motion walk up to the thing, take another 10, 15 seconds to shake it off, pop their collars, do this, that,
rub their shoe in the dirt, spin a little bit, look at the ball,
everything before they even throw one pitch. And it would just continue on. I'm loving it. Now, what they have to do next is make the strike zone automized, whatever it is. It should just be automatic. It should just be, is it in the strike zone? Is it not in the strike zone? Because these umpires are completely blind. But that's just next level shit. Maybe in the next 2 years or so, they'll bring it in. Because I know they are testing it. I know they are. I think it was in the D League. No, in the minor leagues, they're trying that out with the instant calls. So I'm actually happy about that. Thank you. Because I've had some days where I wanted to break some TVs. I swear, this is bad calls. But because of this now, I love how it's just like fast. 1, 2, 3, go, 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 go. Let's go. Let's pick up the pace. Bro, because I remember it was me, you, Tyler, and Edward. We went to the Marlins game against the Angels, I think, or the Reds, or something. And we were all there just like knocked out on the seats because it was just going so slow.
We left. We ended up going to Dolphin Mall to go eat.
So seriously, it was so bad. It's a good thing now that they're fixing it. Oh,
the one thing I will say I don't like that looks stupid from like aesthetic wise, looking on the TV, is the bigger bases.
Oh, you don't like that part?
No.
They put a little like pitch clock in the middle of the bases of the diamond, man. That's like, I mean, that's next level, man.
I think they made that easier to see on the replays to see if their foot is on the.
Well, they did it for that, and the league wants to promote more stealing of bases.
Okay, I'll take that too. Yeah, that's stealing a base is fun.
I'm just saying it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing when you look at it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying it looks like dumb when you look at the field.
Yeah, I also want to say this to the Marlins: if they ever do see this, change the logo back, keep the M, but bring the color scheme back to what the Florida Marlins was. Like the nice green tealish color with the white and the black and the silver. Bring that color scheme back, and then bring the old uniforms back, but with the M instead of the F. Please.
Well, let's get to our final topic. You guys didn't hear the news. The WWE and the UFC are now a public traded company. What does this mean? This means that a merger has happened. WWE and UFC have now become one. Now, they really have not laid out the plans of what this means for the fans and for the. I just know that, they have stated that it's going to make UFC and WWE a lot more money, which is great for them. But what I would not like to see as a fan, I will say this again, they have not laid out what the plans are for the company. Again, look, throughout the years, there's been Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar that have gone from WWE to UFC or UFC to WWE. But I don't want to see this like interchanging thing where they like start jumping back and forth and make this about entertainment and stuff like that. Because I love UFC. Keep UFC as it is. Do not start mixing it with the entertainment value and the fakeness of WWE. Granted, I love WWE as it is. Don't change it. Don't change either of them. Because I already saw a picture that Conor McGregor posted himself holding the UFC title belt, and on the other side, holding the WWE title belt. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see these athletes start mixing and matching and saying, hey, I feel like going to the WWE next week and just popping up on Monday Night Raw and being part of a storyline. I don't want to see that. So I didn't even like that Ronda Rousey went to WWE, even though her character is great. I preferred her to keep on fighting because she was great. But yeah, I don't want to see that happen.
Man, but I gotta say though, honestly, in a world where Logan Paul goes against Jorge Masvidal, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, man. The perfect combination, one step closer to the image. But I do have to say, Dana White, UFC, they're not afraid to include people and just the craziest ideas. The slap boxing thing or whatever, that slap wrestling, whatever it is that we saw from Russia, ends up going to UFC. And Dana White, they've been able to make a profit off it. They've been able to make an audience off it, And this WWE thing, it's the exact same thing. They find another huge, WWE proven, amazing entertainment, both in wrestling and, of course, in the broad storytelling part of it. And also even timing too. WrestleMania coming up. Now you got this deal going on. I'm more curious about, Daniel, as you mentioned before, the fan side of it. Like, what does this mean? Like, are we gonna have UFC fighters going to the WWE? Are we gonna have a more storytelling for UFC?
Yeah.
What does this mean? What does this mean? So I think the future could be good. It can also go totally south. But I do like the idea of Dana White, continuing on to make, not only UFC a top brand, but finding a way to make a quick buck.
Listen, man, like if you're just gonna do it for, the stock market and making money off of it, great. Just because you guys want to merge and make money off of it, great. I'm all for it. But look, I want my UFC to be blood and guts, and I want my wrestling and storyline to be my wrestling storyline. Don't mix each other. I ain't nobody want to see Rey Mysterio jumping off the top of an octagon. Like, I don't want to see that. Jonka?
It's funny how you guys say that. And as you were talking, I was picturing something in my head. Because just imagine, let's say we see Conor McGregor somehow one day fight Jorge Masvidal, and it's like, and they both treat it as a WWE fight, and they go for like a 20-minute monologue each one. Oh, Conor is nobody. But they go back. I used to imagine that as a UFC fight, and I would cry and laugh. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I guess good for good that they mix. I guess I don't watch WWE. I'm not much of a UFC guy, but I guess yeah. One is fake. One isn't. I don't see how they would mix in a way. Maybe yes. We know we've seen fighters go and continue their entertainment skills at the WWE side, but I don't see how. I don't think they're gonna mix it. I think it's just two companies going into one. I don't see anything else going in. It's just business. I don't see, because if I ever see Jorge Masvidal or Conor McGregor fight Ronda Rousey for some reason, I give up on life.
I will say this. Finally to close off. I did think this was great. WWE a while ago had this thing called Battle of the Billionaires, and it was Vince McMahon versus Donald Trump in a match. And I'm not gonna lie, it was great. It was really great. I really enjoyed it. But that's all the time we have for tonight's show. National championship coming up right around the corner. UConn, San Diego State. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Of course, in this special edition and an earlier hour. Stay tuned to all of our social media: TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. And we'll see you guys next week for a brand new episode. And hope you guys have a great rest of the week.
Sport the truth.